The crystalline halls of the Velarin diplomatic station hummed with the energy of 1,000 worlds. Ambassador Hazalkaya moved through the corridors with the practiced grace of someone who had spent years navigating the delicate politics of the Galactic Council. Her azure robes, marked with the insignia of the Velarin Empire, whispered against the polished floor as her 4 guards flanked her in perfect formation. She had trusted them with her life for 3 years. That trust died in the span of a heartbeat. The maintenance bay doors hissed open, and Hazal stepped inside to inspect the new atmospheric processors, a diplomatic formality that had been scheduled weeks ago. The room was dimly lit, filled with the skeletal frames of machinery and the acrid smell of plasma welding. Somewhere in the shadows she could hear someone working. "Ambassador," Captain Thex's voice came from behind her, cold and unfamiliar. "I'm sorry it has to be this way." Hazal spun around just as her guards raised their weapons. 4 plasma rifles, once sworn to her protection, now pointed directly at her chest. Her breath caught in her throat as the betrayal crystallized into terrifying reality. "The sovereignty pays better than the Empire," Thex continued, his reptilian features expressionless. "Your death will look like a tragic accident. Faulty equipment. These things happen." Time seemed to slow. Hazal's mind raced through her options, all of them ending in her vaporization. She was a diplomat, not a soldier. Her only weapon was words, and words couldn't stop plasma fire. The guards' fingers tightened on their triggers. Then a figure stepped out from behind a massive processor unit. Human, the word registered in Hazal's mind even as the man positioned himself directly between her and the 4 armed guards. He was tall, wearing the grease-stained coveralls of a station engineer, with dark hair and eyes that burned with an intensity that seemed almost reckless. "Walk away," the human said simply. His voice was calm, conversational even, as if he were discussing the weather rather than facing down 4 trained killers. Captain Thex laughed, a rasping, cruel sound. "Human, you're not even armed. Step aside or die with her." "Kevin," Hazal whispered, recognizing the name stitched on his coverall. She had seen him around the station, always tinkering with something, always nodding politely when they passed. "Please don't—" "Ma'am, with respect, stay behind me," Kevin interrupted, his eyes never leaving the guards. "Gentlemen, I'm going to give you one more chance. Lower your weapons and leave now." "You think your kind's reputation scares us?" Thex sneered. "You're one human against 4 trained." He never finished the sentence. Kevin moved. What happened next would be analyzed in tactical simulations for years to come. The human engineer's hand shot to his belt, pulling what looked like a standard plasma torch. But instead of a narrow welding flame, Kevin had modified it into something far more dangerous. A wide dispersal blast of superheated plasma erupted from the tool, forcing the guards to scatter. In that split second of chaos, Kevin grabbed a piece of metal plating and hurled it like a discus at the nearest guard. It struck the soldier's rifle, sending the shot wild. Sparks exploded across the ceiling as Kevin closed the distance with terrifying speed. Humans were known throughout the galaxy for their endurance, their adaptability, their stubborn refusal to quit. But what made them truly dangerous was their creativity in the face of impossible odds. Kevin dropped low, sweeping the legs out from under one guard while simultaneously throwing a handful of magnetic bolts into the air. The small pieces of metal responded to the electromagnetic field he'd activated on his belt, creating a chaotic swarm that disrupted the guards' targeting systems. Captain Thex fired, but Kevin was already moving, using the fallen guard's body as a shield. The plasma bolt meant for the human struck his own teammate instead.
Kevin rolled, came up with the dead guard's rifle and fired twice in quick succession. 2 more guards fell. Thex stood alone now, his weapon trembling slightly as he faced the human engineer.
Kevin stood between him and Hazal, breathing hard, the stolen rifle steady in his hands. "How?" Thex whispered. "You're just a maintenance worker." Kevin smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Every human's a soldier when they need to be. It's kind of our thing. We didn't claw our way to the top of our planet's food chain by giving up when things got tough. The sovereignty will send others," Thex warned. "Then we'll deal with them too. But you're done." Kevin's expression hardened. "Drop the weapon." The rifle clattered to the floor. Security forces arrived minutes later, summoned by the station's automated alert systems. They found Ambassador Hazalkaya unharmed, standing beside a grease-covered human engineer who was calmly explaining what had happened while reassembling a plasma torch. In the days that followed, the conspiracy was unraveled. The sovereignty's plot to destabilize the Valoran Empire through Hazal's assassination was exposed and dismantled. Peace talks continued. Treaties were signed. But in the quiet moments, Hazel found herself thinking about those few seconds when death had been certain, when a stranger had stepped between her and oblivion without hesitation. "Why did you do it?" she asked Kevin one evening, finding him in the same maintenance bay where he had saved her life. He looked up from the circuit board he was repairing, his expression genuinely puzzled. "Do what, Ambassador? Risk your life. You didn't know me. You had no obligation." Kevin set down his tools and met her eyes. "Where I come from, you don't need a reason to do the right thing. You just do it." He smiled, a real smile this time. Besides, someone had to fix those atmospheric processors. "Couldn't let you die before approving the work order." Hazal laughed, surprising herself. In a galaxy of countless species, each with their own codes and customs, perhaps the humans' greatest strength wasn't their resilience or their ingenuity. Perhaps it was their simple, stubborn refusal to stand by while others suffered. "Thank you, Kevin," she said softly. "Any time, Ambassador." He returned to his work, already lost in some new problem to solve, some new system to improve. And Hazal Kaya understood why humanity, despite being one of the youngest species in the Galactic Council, was already becoming one of the most respected. When it mattered most, when the odds were impossible and the outcome uncertain, humans didn't calculate the costs, they simply stepped forward.